So, what's the hungriest that you've ever been? Well, Christian Herter was running for re-election as governor of the state of Massachusetts, and he had a very busy day. He missed breakfast, he missed lunch, and he was late for a late afternoon barbecue at which he was supposed to speak. He was standing in line, and he saw the lady at the far end that was passing out the chicken. Man, he got so hungry, even hungrier. And he finally got up to her and handed his plate, and she gave him one piece of chicken. And he said, "Ma'am, may I have another piece?" "No." "Ma'am, I am really hungry. May I have another piece of chicken?" "No." One piece per person. Move on. So, ma'am, listen. Do you know who I am? I am the governor of the state of Massachusetts. And she said, "Do you know who I am? I'm the woman in charge of chicken. Now move on." So what's the hungriest you've ever been? I mean, do you ever have just real cravings for something? My family laughs at me all the time. I'm coming into the refrigerator at night kind of late, and I'm scuffling around, where's the ice cream? I'm just craving ice cream. Or where are the sweets? Or, I can't believe we're out of this or we're out of that. I mean, sometimes, don't we just crave for something? And some of you, as I talked about earlier, are going to go after church, and you're going to go out and eat. And you're going to say to the person you're with, "What are you hungry for?" And they're going to go, "I don't know. What are you hungry for?" "Well, I don't know. What are you hungry for?" In fact, Friday night, my wife had to go to Penny's. So I said, "I'll take you there up to the mall." I said, "Where do you want to eat?" She said, "I don't care." She said, "Where do you want to eat?" I said, "I don't care." So I parked. I said, "Hey, let's go to the food court and eat." You know what she said? "No, I don't want to eat there." I thought she said you didn't care where we ate. So we ended up going to Wendy's. And I said, "What do you want? And what are you hungry for?" "Well, I don't know." "What are you hungry for?" "I don't know." "What are you hungry for?" See, that's the way it is. We play this little game that we're not quite sure what we're hungry for. And I think a lot of people are living their lives this way. We know we're hungry. We're just not sure for what. We've got these cravings, but nothing seems to really satisfy. I think the Rolling Stones, they didn't know it, but I think they've written our theme song for this generation. I can't get no satisfaction. And 30 years after they've written that song, it's the general complaint of the average American. Today, folks, we've got more products available that has on them satisfaction guaranteed than ever before. And from last year to this year, there are twice as many products that we can purchase. But I'm wondering, are people twice as satisfied? I don't think so. I think the reason is our cravings are filled with junk food. You know what junk food is? Oh, that's that little kind that, it tastes good for a while, but it leaves you unnourished and unfulfilled and really unsatisfied. You know, that dream house you think you've got to have? Doritos. That's all it is. I mean, that SUV or that automobile that you just got to have? Twinkies at best. UK basketball or horse racing or golfing, shopping, Reese's cup. The applause of people bragging on you, Pop-Tarts. The stock portfolio that you're working your entire life to build up, gummy bears. I mean, it's all junk food. Hey, you've ever heard of Leonard McMahon? Probably not. But Leonard McMahon is in the world's Guinness Book of Records because in Oakland, California, Leonard swallowed 501 goldfish in 4 hours to smash the world's record of 300. Blew it away. You talk about junk food. And guess what he won? He won a 240-gallon aquarium. Now, can't you imagine Leonard going home and just going, "Blah," and filling up that aquarium with 501 goldfish pretty quickly? You know what I mean? And I think people are stuffing themselves with the things that just don't matter, and it makes you sick and empty. Max Lucado says we are all very thirsty for fame and possessions or romance. We've drunk from those pools, but they are salt water in the desert. They don't quench or fill. So today, for those of you all who are tired of junk food, the Bible offers us an invitation and a challenge. In Psalm 34:8, the psalmist writes, "Taste and see that the Lord is good." Now, those of you that are with us this morning you haven't decided to follow Jesus Christ, you haven't made a commitment to step over that line yet, you're a little bit hesitant about doing that, you've been searching for satisfaction, but you just continually come up empty, I want to challenge you today. Taste and see. And I know what you're going to discover. The Lord is good. And for those of you who are Christ followers, I want to challenge you to follow Him more closely, more passionately, because so many Christians are missing out on so much that God has in store for you if you would just really taste and see how good the Lord is. I mean, Wednesday night, our high schoolers and our junior highs had a sampling of what worship was about, and they were tasting and seeing. Over 140 were staying here worshiping to 9:30, quarter to 10, and finally Jimmy said, "Hey, don't y'all have school tomorrow?" They were loving it. They loved it. They were tasting and seeing how good God is. Well, on this particular day on a hillside, Jesus has this diverse group of people, much like you and me, people looking for direction, people looking for satisfaction, people looking for significance, people looking for happiness, people, He could see in their eyes they were hungry. He can see in our eyes this morning we're hungry. And He stood on the hillside and He said these words from His mouth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Happy are those who hunger and thirst righteousness. You know what that means? Go after the things of God. Live your life from God's perspective. Try to please Him. Hunger and thirst for those things. And here's the satisfaction guarantee. You will be filled. Taste and see. The Lord is good. You know, I've learned to like some things in my life that I didn't used to like when I was able to taste and see them. Like now, I didn't used to like these things. Now I like brown beans and tomatoes and asparagus. I didn't used to like those things. But I remember eating my very first pizza. And it wasn't until the age of 21. Of course, pizza wasn't invented until when I was 18 years of age. So it was only out there about 3 years. And people would ask me, "Have you ever eaten pizza?" And I was embarrassed to say, "No, I haven't." I said, "I don't like it, even though I haven't eaten it." With my first pizza, I was at Transylvania University at college, and we were coming down Lexington, and it was on Southland Drive, Pasquale's Pizza. Man, I ordered a pizza with cheese on it, and man, it was great. Well, a couple weeks later, a guy said, "Hey, put some pepperoni on it." Well, I don't like pepperoni. Have you ever had it? Well, no. Okay, I'll try it. Man, it was great. I loved it. Then a few months later, there was a guy that said, "Hey, try a sausage on your pizza." Well, I don't like sausage. Have you ever tried it on your pizza? Well, no, I haven't tried it, so I tried it. Man, sausage, cheese, pepperoni, it's great, folks. And it wasn't until about, 5 or 10 years later, someone ordered the works one night on a pizza. I was with them. They said, "Why don't you order the works?" I don't like all that stuff on my pizza. Have you ever tried it? No, I've not tried it. Folks, now I am a supreme kind of guy, if you know what I mean. I love it. I mean, I load it up every time now. Now, not anchovies, because I have tasted and seen, and they're not very good, if you know what I mean. And I think some of you haven't hungered and thirsted enough after the things of God because you aren't really sure if you would like it or not. I've heard people say, "If I did that, I would lose my freedom." I've heard intellectual people say, "If I start following God, I'd have to park my brain at the curve and give up all reason, all science, all academics to believe that stuff." I hear party people say, "If I follow Jesus, I know I'm going to lose out on all this fun, and I won't be invited to parties with my friends. They'll make fun of me." So to help all of these people overcome these apprehensions, can I invite you to at least check out a sampler platter? You know, at Fazoli's, if you can't make up your mind, just order a sampler platter. It's got all 3 or 4 different kinds of things. You can taste a little bit of, and it's all really good. And so is this. I'm hoping some of this today will whet your appetite so that you will bring God into your life. And the first thing on this sample platter, this first appetizer we're going to have, it's a better kind of freedom. It's a better kind of freedom. God gives you a better kind of freedom. You see, the world is full of people who see Christianity as this confining, suffocating system, almost like a straight and narrow jacket that you're in, and you feel like you're chained or in prison to a bunch of religious rules of do's and don'ts. But listen to what Jesus said in John 8:36. So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. Jesus is saying, I'm going to give you a better kind of freedom. See, many people see freedom as freedom from restraint. You know, live your life without any rules at all. Paul Harvey tells a story about a young guy, and he's speeding through this town, and this deputy pulls him over, and the guy tries to explain. The cop says, just shut up right now. I'm going to put you in jail and let you cool your heels. Oh, officer, you don't understand. Just be quiet. You're going to cool your heels in jail. Now be quiet. And the chief's going to come back, and then maybe you can get out. Well, he's sitting in jail, and the deputy comes back and looks at this guy, and he says, lucky for you, our chief's going to be in a good mood because he's at his daughter's wedding. And the guy goes, I wouldn't count on it. I'm the groom. And maybe you have fantasized. You know what I ought to do? Let's just throw away all the rules. Wouldn't that be great? Let's just drive as fast as we want. Let's drink and party as much as we want. Let's write as many checks as we want. Let's abuse whomever we want. Let's sleep with these people as we want. Boy, that would be real freedom. Don't you know by now that that kind of freedom is a myth? It's dangerous. I mean, a train without a track is free, but man, that train is heading for a disaster. And a kite without a string, it's free, but man, it's in serious trouble. And there's a whole bunch of us in this room that will tell you that your life without rules is not a good thing. We've been on this highway with no guardrails. We've tried it, and we've crashed. We've wrecked. We've almost ruined our lives completely. Look at what the Apostle Paul says in Romans chapter 6 from the Message version about real freedom. I'm using this freedom language because it's easy to picture. You can readily recall, can't you, how at one time the more you did just what you felt like doing, not caring about others, not caring about God, the worse your life became and the less freedom you had. And how much different is it now as you live in God's freedom, your lives healed and expansive in holiness. As long as you did what you felt like doing, ignoring God, you didn't have to bother with right thinking or right living or right anything for that matter. But you do call that a free life? What'd you get out of it? Nothing you're proud of now. Where did it get you? A dead end. But now that you've found that you don't have to listen to sin tell you what to do, and you've discovered the delight of listening to God telling you, what a surprise. A whole, healed, put together life right now with more and more of life on the way. Work hard for sin your whole life, and your pension is death. But God's gift is real life, eternal life, delivered by Jesus, our Master. Because if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. Taste and see. There's a better kind of freedom. Also, I think you'll find on this appetizer platter, a sample platter, a better kind of foundation. A better kind of foundation. Following Christ doesn't mean, folks, that you take your brain and you park it up on a shelf. Some of the most intelligent men I know, like Lee Strobel, Chuck Colson, they went out to prove the Bible to be inaccurate, to prove that there was no Son of God who died and rose from the grave. And after years of investigating, they said both, beyond a shadow of doubt, Jesus was God's Son. He died and he came back from the grave to life again. That the Bible is true. Now I want you to listen to this. I encourage you to follow Jesus, not so that it's going to make you feel better, not to give you higher self-esteem, but because it's true. Jesus really did die. He did perform miracles. He was crucified on a cross, and he rose from the dead. Folks, what other words would be a better foundation for your life than this? Jesus said in Matthew 24, heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will remain forever. Do you know of anything else that you might want to build your life on that would last forever? Jesus was saying this book has stood the test of time and eternity because this book is about a study of real time and real eternity. You don't want to build your life on a belief system that when you get to the end of your life, you find out it was all wrong to begin with, do you? And the more we learn scientifically, the more we discover archaeologically, the more we learn historically, the more we have reason to believe the accuracy of the Bible. Hunger and thirst for righteousness. Get excited about it. Get in the book. We've got classes called Nurturing University. You'll hear us talk about base classes. We've got 45 in them now. Get in those to find out more. Get into a small group Bible study, but go to a Sunday school class. But get into this book. Search for answers that satisfy your mind and your heart both. Also, take these outlines and what we talk about on the weekends and start applying them to your life. Then find out, is that a shaky foundation I'm working on, or is it a solid foundation I'm working on? Listen to Matthew chapter 7 and what it says about that from the Message. These words I speak to you are not incidental additions to your life, homeowner improvements to your standard of living. They are foundational words, words to build a life on. If you work these words into your life, you're like a smart carpenter who built his house on solid rock. Rain poured down, the river flooded, or a tornado hit, but nothing moves that house. It was fixed to the rock, the Word of God. And folks, when I hear this about getting into the Word, I can't help but think about the golf story. You know, Jerry Herndon one time hit a ball way over into the woods, and it was really crowded and tight, and he swung with all his might, and he missed the ball and killed 20,000 ants. It was on an anthill. And he got so upset, nobody saw him. He looked around and got ready. He swung as hard as he could. He killed 8,000 ants the second time. Finally, there were only 2 ants left. One ant looked at the other ant and said, hey, if we've got any chance at all, we better get on the ball. Folks, if we got any chance at all, we better get on the book and in the book, if you know what I mean. It's a solid foundation to build your life on. Let me offer you one more thing for this sampler platter. If you'll taste and see, I think you'll find a better kind of fun. Yes, you're going to find a better kind of fun. People following Christ think, oh, God's going to take away my fun. But I think it is so interesting that in our fun-saturated culture, I've seen the bumper sticker that says, are we having fun yet? Our whole world is asking that. Are you having fun yet? Did you see the report Wednesday night on TV? Katie Couric gave this report. She had some 20 or 30 kids on there from all across the United States, 13 to 17 years of age, all different backgrounds that they came from, and they were talking about fun that they were having, the oral sex, the intercourse. 41% by age 16 have lost their virginity. Parents, wake up, because kids think it's a fun thing to do. And now we've got our children, our adults, they're out carousing, partying, getting high, getting wild, asking each other with a dazed face, are we having fun yet? And the next day while they're hugging the toilet, they're saying, we did have fun last night, didn't we? Friends, God offers an alternative that's a better kind of fun that you can actually remember the next day. One they might call inner fun, a thing called joy that comes from the inside out. And when it takes root deep inside of your life, man, it's an exclusive commodity, and it becomes a way of life instead of that reckless weekend pursuit. And that's why God can say to us in Philippians 4:4, rejoice in the Lord always. That's the lifestyle. Again, I say, rejoice. We hunger and thirst after Him, and He fills us up with that same kind of joy He has. Kid Rock, one of the music superstars, kind of a disturbed young man. They play his music at parties that people are having fun. Listen to the lyrics of this song. I've been sitting here trying to find myself. I get behind myself. I need to rewind myself. Looking for the payback. Listen to the playback. They say every man bleeds just like me. And now I feel like number one, yet I'm last in line. I watch my younger son. It helps me pass the time. I take too many pills. It helps me to ease the pain. I made a couple of dollar bills. Still, I feel the same. Everybody knows my name. They say it out loud. A lot of folks cover me. It's hard to hang out in the crowd. I guess that's the price you pay to be some big shot like I am. Outstretched arms and one-night stands. Still, I can't find love. Are we having fun yet? Now contrast that with what I hear from many people in this church about how much fun you are having. I mean, I'm talking about real fun. Some of you are having a ball in your marriages. I hear people talk about how much fun they're having in their small groups, how much fun they have on Sunday mornings in their Bible studies, how much fun they have on the Monday night group that meets here, how much fun they have at Lighthouse, our young people. I hear people talk about they can't wait to get dressed, to get up to come to church on Saturday or Sunday morning, or Sunday or Saturday night. I mean, you can't wait. You're looking forward to it because this is a fun place to be, because joy has taken up residence in a lot of our lives. And it's a lifestyle, and it's contagious. And no matter what you're going through, you still have that inner joy that nothing can rob it from you, take it from you. Folks, 6 years ago, the guy who sets up these chairs and tears down these chairs every week and also all over the building, Joe Freeman, he never smiled. And now look at him. You can't keep him from smiling. I mean, God has permeated his deepest soul. Joe has tasted and seen how good God is, and now it's in him, and he can't stop himself. It's contagious. He's fun to be around. It's a better kind of fun. And Jesus said, you want the meal that will really fill you up? Then get your appetite for God. There's not a better kind of freedom or foundation or fun. Now, I want to take time now to talk to some of you who really have decided, I'm following Christ. And I want to challenge you, push aside the sampler platter, get it aside, and let's eat the main course dinner. I mean, I'm talking about a 5-star buffet. I'm talking about bread of life stuff, like living water stuff. None of this junk food, okay? And this will satisfy you more than anything else. Spread it out before you. Hunger and thirst for righteousness. So those of you who've decided to follow Christ, how's your spiritual appetite today? Do you still have a hunger for God? Psalm 42:1 says, as the deer pants for streams of water, so my soul pants for you, O God. You know, it's like you've seen these dogs, these big Labrador retrievers, and they've been running around a lot, and they get really tired. And their tongue sticking out, and they're just, are you hungering for God like that? Do you really hunger and thirst to know him? Do you really hunger and thirst that you want more of him in your life? Do you really want to praise and worship him? Or do you just want a little hors d'oeuvre, a little nibble on the weekends? Maybe a little nibble at Easter or Christmas, or a little nibble at funerals or weddings. And the fact is, you are as close to God as you want to be. And if you aren't close to God right now, it's not God's fault. It's not your spouse's fault. It's not your boyfriend's fault. It's not your parents' fault. Because Jesus said, anyone who hungers and thirsts for righteousness, they will be filled. So it's about you. It's about me, one-on-one with God. Well, Whit, you know what? I used to be hungry for God. I mean, I used to get in the Bible. I went to a lot of Bible studies. I came to Sunday church. I came to Wednesday night church when they had, I was just, I listened to Christian music. I mean, I shared my faith with people, but something happened. I don't have it anymore. You know why? Because you went back to eating the junk food. All the junk food you went back. You started going around with those same friends and those same movies and those same books and those same attitudes, and just all that junk food started coming in, and you've missed out on the real buffet that God's got for you. The Greek word here for hunger is not just a little bite. It means I want the whole thing. Remember the old commercial? I can't believe I ate the whole thing. Well, Jesus is saying happiness comes to people who say, I want to eat the whole thing. I want to experience the fullness of God. I want to know him more every day. I don't want to taste as an appetizer. I'm not just going to be satisfied to show up here at worship. I want to be filled with him. And if you are, and you have that hunger and thirst, let me tell you what it's going to give you. It's going to give you a better kind of fuel. I mean, you're going to have all kinds of energy. Have you ever seen those commercials of athletes, and they're sweating all these different kinds of colors? The sweat corresponds to the different kinds of Gatorade that there are. Then it comes across the screen. Is it in you? You see, whether it's Gatorade or Ensure or Wheaties, there are some foods, folks, that really boost our bodies and gives us energy to run at optimum levels. And I can tell you a big difference in my life when I put in junk food versus health food. And I can tell you a big difference in my spiritual life when I put in junk spiritual food versus real spiritual food, because when I put in that real good food of God, I can handle difficult situations much better. I can handle relationships much better. I can handle problems much better because my spiritual energy level just goes way up when I'm filled with the things of God. 2 Timothy 1:7 says, "For God did not fill us up with a spirit of timidity, but a spirit of power and love and self-discipline." Folks, this is high octane. This is your peak performance. This is how you can run your life on, and it's available to every one of us. Remember a few years ago at the Rose Bowl parade? There was this float that ran out of gas right in the middle of the parade. For 30 minutes it held the parade up. And you know what the ironic thing about this was? The float was sponsored by the Standard Oil Company. And I think a lot of Christians are like that float. We've got it right there, we've got it. The Holy Spirit of God is inside of us when you give your life to Him, but we don't take advantage of it. Look at 2 Peter 1:3 says, "His divine power has given us everything we need for life and for godliness." So let me ask you, is it in you? Is it in you? If you will hunger and thirst for God, man, it'll be in you, and what a fuel you've got. If you'll taste and see on this super buffet, you're going to get a better kind of fruit also. There's going to be a better kind of fruit in your life. Galatians 5:22 says, the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Now that kind of fruit doesn't come out of your life by trying harder. It comes out of our lives when the Holy Spirit and love relationships develop in our life. If we allow Him to have more of us, happy are those who hunger and thirst, for you're going to be filled, and this fruit's going to come out. Now, what's it mean to really be filled? How do you know that you're really full? Well, I want to use this object lesson. I want you to tell me when this glass is really full. Is it full now? Is it full now? Is it full now? Is it full now? Well, no, I don't know what's this. Is it full now? Is it? Hey, how do you know it's full? How do you know it's full now? Yeah, you can talk, it's spilling over. Exactly. And let me tell you something. When you spill over into people's lives with love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, kindness, faithfulness, when you start spilling over into people's lives, man, it will be overflowing, and you will have a great fruit bearing in your life. A construction crew was working on a building on a high-rise. Across from these workers was this children's hospital. And one day on the third floor, a little girl came out and started waving at these 4 construction workers. The next day she came out and she had this big poster board and said, "My name is Lisa. What are your all's names?" Well, the next day, one of the guys brought back this huge poster board, and they wrote on it, "Hi, Lisa. Our names are Bill, Terry, Bob, and Brad. How old are you?" Well, the next day, Lisa came back with a big sign that said, "I am 7. How old are you guys?" And they started corresponding day after day till one day they noticed there was no sign up in that window. And the next day they noticed there was no sign up in that window. So they called the hospital and said, hey, how about this girl named Lisa on the 3rd floor? And they informed her that Lisa had gotten really sick. And little Lisa had to be taken into intensive care. Well, the guy sent flyers and a card that said, get well soon. And the next morning when these workers were on the job, a big poster board said, Lisa passed away last night. Thank you guys for caring so much. Jesus said, I am the vine and you are the branches. If you remain in me, you will produce fruit. You see, you will spill over into little 7-year-old girls' lives, even if you don't know them. You will spill over to that person who's an alcoholic and needs help. You will spill over to the person that you have difficult working with at work. You will spill over into other kids and your own kids' lives when all of God is in you, when you hunger and thirst for righteousness. So let me ask you, are you remaining in Him? Are you hanging out with Jesus these days? I mean, how's your prayer life? Moms, are you praying for your kids every day? Dads, are you listening to God's direction for your life? Is it reflected in your commitment to come to this worship service on a regular basis? Is it reflected in your regularly, cheerfully giving? Is it reflected? Maybe you need to get in a Bible study so that it will come out more. Maybe you need to join the church. Maybe you need to get involved somewhere like the children's ministry or in this band, orchestra, the lighthouse ministry, in the choir as ushers, greeters, maybe out shoveling snow or mowing the grass or this hospitality ministry, folks. That's a great way that your fruit can be spilled over to everybody that eats here on Sunday mornings. Oh, you don't need me. You got 1,000, 1,200, 1,300. You don't need me. Folks, we need you. God needs you. And we cannot be the church that God wants us to be unless we put a place that you can use your talents so they can spill over into other people. And when you spill over to others, you will have a fully satisfied life. There's a better kind of fuel. There's a better kind of fruit. And this third thing on this platter, there's a better kind of faith. A better kind of faith. When you really taste and see, man, I'm going to tell you, you're going to have a faith that is so awesome. Last week, just in this church, there was a 90-year-old lady from Owensboro, Kentucky who was here. Sharp as she can be. She told me she had a little trouble getting around, obviously. But man, let me tell you, when I talked to her, she couldn't quit talking about how the Lord has satisfied her all of her life. She got this faith, and she's got this sense of humor, and there was a joy and a radiation smile out of her life, and boy, the Spirit was remarkable. And she told me this story. Several years ago, she asked, Lord, you know I don't get around very much like I used to. I get around slow. What in the world can I do for you? And she said, the Lord kind of said to her, why don't you start praying for people? And she thought, well, I could do that. And so now she's got over 100 people she prays for every day. And she calls them once every 2 weeks to let them know someone's praying for them. Folks, the Lord is using that 90-year-old woman just as vibrantly today as He did when she was in her prime, so to speak. She loves it, and her faith is a better kind of faith. I mean, if you just looked at her, and I thought, what a better kind of faith than to hunger and thirst and go on this adventure ride with God. And I think there's so many Christians that come and sit in the chairs every week, and they're missing out on this kind of faith. And you know why? Because you won't take a risk. You won't get out of that chair and step over your comfort zone. Let me give you this example. 3 couples from our church decide they're going to go to San Diego and they're going to go sailing. Well, this one couple gets out of their van, puts all their stuff on the sailboat. They start eating, drinking. They're basking in the sun, but they don't untie the rope. They just sit there in the sailboat. But they went sailing, they'll tell you. Another couple decided they loaded their stuff up on there. They cut the ropes. They head out of the marine land, and they're starting to eat and drink and so forth. And they get to the edge of the bay, and they see these rough waves, these high winds. They get afraid, so they turn around. They come back into the harbor and dock it, but they go through the motions, and they'll tell you they went sailing. But the third group cut the ropes, head out of the marine land, put all their food and stuff, and they're having a great time. They decide to go on out into the oceans when they see it. Man, open waters. The water is just spraying over the boat. The boat is knifing through the water. They're feeling the spray on their face. They're watching the incredible sunsets, the incredible sunrises. Wow. Now let me ask you, which couple went sailing? I mean, really sailing? The third couple, right? And I know so many people who say, I know Christ. I'm a believer. I've been sailing. But no, you haven't. You're still tied to the dock. You're basking on the little things that God gives you, a Christian magazine, the Bible maybe, and you're just your routine prayers, and you throw a few bucks in the tray every now and then, and you try to keep your nose clean. But deep down in your soul, there's something missing. You're not satisfied. And I just wish that for those of you who've never been out in the seas of faith, that you would just venture out there to where God has to be in control. And that you feel the blowing wind of His direction in your face. And His Spirit blowing you in a direction. And you trust Him. And He's faithful. And in your face, you will find in your life this fulfillment of life that you've never had before, because you're making a difference, because you cut the ropes and went out there. Folks, it is out there where your real faith is tested. It is out there where you're going to experience the miracles. It is out there where you will see answered prayer. It is out there where you will touch the lives of other people. It's out there where you will feel the presence of Jesus so close that you can't stop talking about Him to people. That's a full life. That's a fully satisfied, satisfaction guaranteed type of life. Mark 8:35 says, if you insist on saving your life, you will lose it. In other words, if you insist on staying tied to the dock, you're going to lose it. Only those who throw away their lives for my sake, you cut the ropes, you set sail, for my sake and the sake of the good news, will ever know what it means to really live. And if I could, if you would let me, I'd go by and I'd cut every single one of your ropes. And you'd go sailing, and in 3 or 4 months, you would come back and say, thank you, Whit, for cutting my ropes. It's a better kind of faith. So what are you hungry for? Taste and see that the Lord is good. Well, Paul Tillich was asked to speak at the Chicago School of Divinity. And it was for the whole community. It was a brown bag type of luncheon. And man, he was outstanding in his field because he tried to disprove God and Jesus. And boy, he was just filled. He quoted historical sources. He used a lot of Greek. He had books where he personally knew the authors that he read from. I mean, he gave every single, he said, and he quoted. And he was very convincing that the crucifixion and the resurrection did not happen. And when he finished, any questions? And it was silence for a minute. And finally, this old white-haired, kind of a crusty-faced man stood up in the back, and he said, I haven't read all those books, and I don't know those authors like you do. And boy, I certainly don't know Greek like you do. He took a bite of an apple. I haven't gone to all that schooling. I don't have all that education like you got. But let me ask you something. Is that apple bitter or sweet? And the professor said, well, I can't tell. No way. I haven't tasted it. And the old man said, you ain't tasted my Jesus either. Taste and see that the Lord is good. And for people who will hunger and thirst after righteousness, you're going to be satisfied. You will be so full of joy that there will not be a circumstance in your life that will rob you of that. There will be no individual that will steal that joy from you. Katie Knatzer, a young woman, 37 years of age, diagnosed with cancer only a year earlier. Her first husband died in an accident. She remarried. 7 months into that marriage, she found out she had this cancer. You know what she was doing during that short 1 year period she had? She encouraged others. She went to a Bible study 2 hours a week to hunger and thirst. She was in great pain. She was weak. She was tired. And she died a year later. Russ Jacobs, 55 years of age, at work just this past couple weeks ago, died of a massive heart attack. His funeral went for 45 minutes. 30 minutes of it was laughter and joy because that's the way his life was. Yes, he struggled with alcohol, but he kept coming back to God. He kept seeking and hungering and thirsting for righteousness. And the whole thing laughed. We laughed for 30 minutes at the funeral. It was great. And Roy Mays, 53, a mentor and friend of mine. 8 years he battled cancer. He hungered and thirsted his entire life for righteousness. He touched thousands of lives. Great pain, many of those last years. Weak, tired. And all three of those people, they did not die empty. They died full, fully satisfied, because they tasted and they saw that the Lord is good. And now he tells them, welcome home. Welcome home.